any possible direction. And I think Europe is at a crossroads where it has to decide. Until now, we tried to appease the new president in the White House. We were very lenient, also with the tariffs. We were lenient, hoping to get his support for the Ukraine war. We are in a very bad position at the moment. We're dependent on the United States, so we chose to be lenient. But now so many red lines are being crossed that you have the choice between your self-respect. Being a happy vassal is one thing, being a miserable slave is something else. If you back down now, you're going to lose your dignity.
Prime Minister De Wever, of course, Europe's under pressure from two sides. Russia, but also we have Donald Trump arriving tomorrow, demanding Greenland part of a European Union country.
I noticed.
Yeah. So the question, the people keep asking me in the corridors, do you think Europe will stay united? A lot of people saying, you know, Europe's going to fold in the end. That's what they do. Europe won't be able to push back. How confident are you that Europe can, as von der Leyen said, stay united, proportional, and respond?
It's a very good question, actually. I wonder about this myself. We're under a lot of pressure. We're 27 countries. And if you're under pressure, two things can happen. If you have outside pressure, you can come together or you can explode in any possible direction. And I think Europe is at a crossroads where it has to decide. Until now, we tried to appease the new president in the White House. We were very lenient, also with the tariffs. We were lenient, hoping to get his support for the Ukraine war. We are in a very bad position at the moment. We're dependent on the United States, so we chose to be lenient. But now so many red lines are being crossed that you have the choice between your self-respect. Being a happy vassal is one thing, being a miserable slave is something else. If you back down now, you're going to lose your dignity. And that's probably the most precious thing you can have in a democracy. It's your dignity. So we should unite, and we should say to Donald Trump, I'm going to meet him tomorrow. The meeting was fixed before the Greenland issue. So
looking forward to it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward. The king will accompany me on the... I'm looking at the queen who's sitting in the front row. Our king will accompany me at the meeting, but it will have a different character than we had planned. It will probably be the message that we have to send. You're crossing red lines here. We either stand together or we will stand divided. And if we are divided, there is the end of an era of 80 years of Atlantism is really drawing to a close. And, you know, as Gramsci said, if the old is dying and the new is not yet born, you live in a time of monsters. Yeah. And it's up to him to decide if he wants to be a monster, yes or no.
Very good. Before I move on to Prime Minister Plenković, I just wanted to ask you about the aftermath of the whole Euroclear argument, which you were absolutely in the centre of. And I think you must have been reasonably happy, if not with the argument, with the outcome. But some people will say, well, that whole episode just told you about Europe's problems. Here's Europe, we say we're going to do this big thing, and then we all sit around arguing, and then we do a little thing, and everybody says, oh, look, they can't get it together.
I'm going to try to be a little bit optimistic. Otherwise, it's going to be a very depressing session here. At the end of the day, we decided to aid Ukraine with 90 billion euros. And that was the thing we had to do, keep Ukraine in the fight, because the United States is no longer supporting them. They're on their own. It's not looking good. Was Europe able to say, we're going to do whatever it takes to keep you in the fight? And at the end, we did. The way in which we did it, the discussions we had, maybe are not an example of the best governance you can imagine, but at the end of the day, there was a result. But of course, we are in a bad position. We didn't do our homework. We stayed believing in the United West, but the writing was already on the wall when Obama said, I'm the first Pacific president, the burden shift from the United States towards China. We chose to ignore it and to keep enjoying the peace dividend. We didn't rearm, we didn't strengthen ourselves. Now we're in a weak position. But I think, having said that, that we made a choice to support Ukraine. Only we learned a lesson the hard way with the Euroclear and the reparation loan debate that there is no such thing as free money. There's nothing like the Alibaba cave that opens and you can simply take the gold and get away with it. That was an illusion that existed for a few months at the European table, but I think we managed to put an end to it. for the moment.
Mr. De Wever, I wanted to ask you about that because the Prime Minister Plenković said, look, in the end, we all know America's an ally and this is still our view. But listening to you earlier, you said, talked about the prospect of us becoming unhappy slaves. Do you share that view that we can take it for granted that the US is an ally of Europe?
Unfortunately not. I would like to confirm that they are an ally, but then they have to behave like an ally. And if you talk about the Russian threat, it's not that great if the West is united, but we are not united, and Putin sees this. The economy of Russia is very weak. Their military threat is not very real unless we are divided. But it's exactly what he sees, that we are divided. When we had the last meeting of the Coalition of the Willing in Paris, the American delegation started their opening statement by saying, we're not here to take a side in the conflict. I found this very shocking because I grew up in the 1980s where the West stood for something, for the sovereignty of the people, for democracy, for freedom. The idea that in a conflict between a tyrant and a democracy, the United States will say, well, we're not going to take sides. In a gathering of the Coalition of the Willing pro-Ukraine, of democratic allied countries saying we're coming here together because one of us is threatened by Russian aggression, we have to support him. They said, we're not here to take sides. We're here to make a deal. Putin sees this. This is his strength, is our division. And of course, if he follows the news and says now a NATO country is threatening another NATO country with military invasion, it will not discourage him to continue his war on Ukraine. It will certainly not discourage the Chinese to choose for an imperialistic agenda. And if the Atlantism would really die, I hope not, but if it dies, globalization will die with it. That's very clear. Yeah. And we cannot stay a herbivore in that world. That's the European lesson we have to learn. We have to wake up, we have to rearm, we have to integrate our market, and we have to weaponize our market, and we have to seek new alliances. I don't think we have to annul the alliance we have, but we have to seek new ones. Mercosur was very useful. I have to do it.
Do we have to tilt towards China a bit?
We have to continue engaging China. China is always a mystery. They could go both ways. They could go full imperialistic. But I think China can also be engaged to evolve towards a win-win situation. But of course, then you also need the United Europe to talk to them, to say what is our win. Because for the moment, it is their win and our lose. In 2007, the numbers don't lie. The European economy was 10 times bigger than China. Now we're equal. In 2007, we were equal with the United States. Now they're 50% in front of us. The entire difference is the tech sector. We've become totally dependent on technology that we do not own and do not control. That is not how the Chinese did it. They did it differently. We were a little bit naive, and it's time to wake up. We need our own technological platforms to build the prosperity of tomorrow. If not, Trump can do with us, he can play with us. He can make us slaves because we actually are slaves then. And we'll have to take for granted whatever he does. And we've been accustomed to very nice presidents like Obama, and we haven't noticed that the shift in America is not bound to one presidency. It's a structural shift. The face of America has turned to the Pacific. Their backside is turned to the Atlantic. And that will not change after Trump. It's a structural thing. So it's up to us, I think, not to complain about Trump because you say you will get all the attention tomorrow. I can assure you, you already had it today. Yeah. In every conversation, it's Trump, 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 Trump. Okay, that's very nice. And we can complain about Trump, the way he does things, the way he tells things, the humiliation, he lays it on very thick. But that cannot exclude us or that does not exempt you from doing your own homework. And maybe we should focus on that. And then maybe in 5 years, we will say, thank you, Mr. Trump, for waking us up just in time to build a much stronger Europe and a united Europe. It can go either way. Either we unite or either globalization will die and we will be the victim of it.
Yeah.